with the baccalaureate level. Today we have the second session of exam session. This time it is for the literary exam paper, but first let me introduce my colleagues in the studio. From the right side, we start with Miss Abir Al-Hassan, English teacher in Damascus Countryside Directorate, and Miss Huda Ibrahim, English teacher in Damascus Directorate. And from the left side, Miss Faizi Janko, English supervisor, Damascus Countryside Directorate, and Miss Sana Ismail, English teacher, Damascus Countryside Directorate. Before we start with the exam paper, there's some grammar concerning your exam paper, and we're going to start with causative. As you know, we have many words, many verbs, but in your level, in your book, we are going to concentrate only car repaired. Miss Abir, please.
Samer repaired his car himself. Positive. Samer didn't have his car repaired. Here it is in the negative.
Thank you. And here I want to focus on this. I want to focus on this because most of the students focus only on the first part, which is having a negative sentence, and the student needs to do the positive causative. Now, we want to tell the student that it's not the only case. We have another case, which is sometimes the real sentence is negative. The real sentence is positive, but the causative is going to be negative. Miss Sana, will you please read the sentence and do the causative of it? Samer repaired. The second one.
Okay, the second one?
Yes.
Samer
repaired his car himself.
Causative. Samer didn't
have his car repaired. I think the first one.
Yeah, okay, no problem. So we want to focus on both sides, not only to have didn't repair his car himself and the student writes Samer had the car repaired. He may receive the question in another way, like Samer repaired his car himself, and the student needs to write Samer didn't have his car repaired. Next. Miss Faizi.
So this can be in the present as well as we said in the past.
So not only in the past.
Yeah.
Miss Faizi, continue.
Now Samer doesn't repair his car himself.
This is a fact.
This is a fact, and this is in the present. We are going to change it into the causative, and we say Samer has his car repaired.
Thank you so much. Miss Huda.
Yes. Samer repairs his car himself. Now it's positive, so the causative must be Samer doesn't have his car repaired.
Yes.
So
thank you. We move next. We come to the reported speech. This is the other grammar needed in the baccalaureate exam paper, and we are going to summarize the grammar. Miss Sana, start please.
Yes, reported speech. We report someone saying starting with he said or he told someone. We go in the reported...
excuse me.
Yes.
The difference between he said and he told is that told needs an object.
An object.
Yes.
So we cannot say he told and continue. We need to say he told Huda, he told someone, he told...
Yes.
Okay, continue.
Okay. We go in the reported sentence one tense back. For example, the present becomes past. For example, direct I'm hungry becomes he said he was hungry.
Thank you. Miss Abir.
Sorry, he or she.
Because
I'm hungry, maybe
as it required at
depends on the person.
So we change the pronoun I, it becomes he or she according to the speaker. And the possessive pronoun my becomes your, and your becomes my or his or her, and so on.
So the things we change are the pronoun. We change the possessive pronoun. Everything near becomes
a
part.
Yes.
Let's move next, please.
Yes. Example.
Now, some examples about the changes. Miss Faizi, please.
Now becomes then. Here becomes there. This becomes that. Today becomes that day. Tomorrow becomes the next day. And yesterday becomes the day before.
Also, you can say the day after or the previous day.
And even tomorrow, we can say the following day.
The following day.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. So everything near changes to far. And the person, the speaker, changes according to if it is a man or a woman. Maybe they are a group of people, so we say they.
They. Yes.
Okay. Next. Reporting questions. So the first part was about the sentences. Now we come to the questions. We have two kinds of questions usually to report.
Yes.
Yeah.
WH and
yes
or no questions. We start with WH questions. Miss Huda.
Yes. Do, does, did, are dropped. This
So
is the first
we drop them.
step. Yes.
We drop them when we report. Do,
Exactly.
does, did. These three auxiliaries are dropped.
The second step, the auxiliary verbs move to be after the subject, like in the positive sentence.
Yes.
3. No question mark is used.
So we drop the question mark.
Yes.
Thank you.
Number 4, the tense goes 1/10 back when we start with he asked.
So the simple present becomes past simple,
Yes.
and the past simple becomes
Perfect.
past perfect. If it was continuous, present continuous
becomes
the past
continuous,
continuous.
and past continuous becomes past perfect continuous. Thank you. The example, Miss Sana, will you please read the example?
Where do you live?
Where do you live becomes he asked me where I lived.
So we dropped do.
Yes.
And we went
We dropped the question mark
back
Yes.
and we dropped the question mark. Where do you live? When we report it, no do is used, and the verb goes after the subject where I live.
The second one, what's your name? He asked me what my name was.
Yes.
Okay, the same.
Is became at the end of the sentence and went 1/10 back, so it became was. Thank you. Next, please. Reporting yes no questions. Miss Faize, start, please.
Okay, we use if or whether.
Yeah.
For example, do you speak English? He asked me. Now, do is dropped. Instead of do, we use if, and you changes into I. Speak changes into spoke. So present into past. So it becomes, he asked me if I spoke English. And we dropped the question mark as well.
Yes, the following one, Ms. Faiza.
Did you watch the film? This is in the past, so it is going to be in the past perfect. We dropped did and we used if instead of did. You changes into I. And did you watch? It is in the past. It becomes had watched. So he asked me if I had watched the film. Okay? And we drop another time the question mark.
Can we say, Ms. Faiza, he asked me whether I had watched the film?
Yeah, of course, whether. So we can use whether
Miss
or
Abir, continue, please.
Can you swim? Becomes Hiba asked Rama, for example.
So here we change to have other pronouns or other nouns, Hiba and Rama, and we are going to change the pronoun according to the name.
Here, she, because Hiba, if she could swim.
Yes, Hiba asked Rama
if she could swim. Were you at home at 9 p.m. 9 o'clock p.m. yesterday? Becomes.
So this is a question in the past simple.
Past simple, yes or no question. Ahmed asked Ali, for example, if or whether he had been at home at 9 o'clock p.m. the day before. Here, yesterday changes into the day before.
Yes. And became
had been.
Yes. Next, please. Now we come to wish.
Yes.
Wish is one of the grammar things the students may receive as a question in the exam. Ms. Huda, start.
Really wish is opposite the reality. If the real sentence is positive, the sentence with wish is negative or something different from reality.
So wish is always opposite reality.
Yes.
Ms. Faizi, continue.
So the tense with wish goes 1/10 back. The present becomes past, and the past becomes past perfect. whether it is simple or continuous.
Examples?
We have examples. I'm late. This is in the present simple. Becomes I wish I wasn't or I weren't late.
So both wasn't and weren't are accepted.
Correct.
Not only weren't,
Yes,
not only wasn't.
Or I wish I was or I were early. We can change late into early.
So
okay?
we can either use the negative or something different.
Yeah.
Yes.
I forgot about the meeting. Forgot, it is in the past. So it becomes I wish I hadn't forgotten. It changes into the past perfect about the meeting.
Yes.
Thank you. So the past goes to the past perfect. I wish I hadn't forgotten about the meeting. Next, please. Yeah. Now we come to the passive voice. Actually, the passive voice also is something important for the baccalaureate level. And in the exam, they reach something called passive voice. We're going to talk in brief about it just to facilitate it, not to complicate it. So if someone says this is very summarized, it is on purpose. We are not going now before the exam to explain in details, just to make it easier for the students. Miss Abir?
We change to passive when the subject is not known, or the subject is not important, or the focus is on the object, not the subject.
So the three cases are the subject is not known, the subject is not important, or the focus in the object.
Yeah.
Next.
Yes.
How to change to passive? Miss Huda.
Yes. First, the object becomes at the beginning of the sentence. Second, the main verb changes into past participle or verb 3. Third, we use verb to be as follows in details.
So the change is only in verb to be.
Exactly.
In all tenses, this object becomes at the beginning, and the
verb
verb goes
three.
to verb 3, and between them, we use verb to be as follows.
Yes. In the present simple, we use is, are. Example, he eats apples. Becomes in the passive, apples are eaten.
Not a been. Note.
Yes. When the subject is definite, we put it at the end of the sentences. Proceeds with by. Sammy eats apples. Becomes apples are eaten by Sammy.
Yes.
In the past simple, we use was or were. Example, he ate apples. Becomes apples were eaten. So students should be careful about the use of was or were.
We notice here apples and eaten are the same. The change is only
verb to be.
with verb to be.
Yes.
Next, please. Miss Faize.
In the present and past continuous, we use being after verb to be. He is eating apples. Here we have continuous.
Yes.
Becomes, the object is apples, and it is plural, so we are going to use apples are.
Yes.
And because it is continuous, being eaten. So apples are being eaten. He was eating apples.
This is past
continuous. Becomes apples were eaten. Were.
Yes.
Being.
Miss. We're being, we have being missing here. Yes.
Eaten, yes.
Thank you so much for this remark. Apples were being eaten, not only eaten. Miss Abir.
Yeah. In the present and past perfect, we use been after verb to have. Example, he has eaten apples becomes apples have been eaten. So verb to have with been, then verb 3.
So with he has is used, but when it became to apples,
because it's plural, we use
have.
If it is apple and apple, it becomes has.
Yes.
Now he had eaten apples. Apples had been eaten. The same way.
Thank you, Miss Sana. In the future.
Thank you. In the future tense, with modals, we use be after the modal verb. For example, he will eat apples. Becomes apples will be eaten.
Yes, and any auxiliary verb used, we use the same. Before we continue, did you receive a phone call about a question for the exam session?
No, about 9th grade.
About 90 grades, so
Yes.
it was not about our session, it's
Yeah.
okay. So he must eat apples becomes apples must be eaten. He may eat apples, apples may be eaten, and so on. Now we're going to move to, will you please give us the next slide? It is done. So we go to the exam paper.
Yes.
We go to the exam paper. Thank you so much, Mr. Mahmoud. So this is an exam paper for 2017. It was done. And this is for the literary section because last session we talked about a version for the scientific. And today we're going to use a literary exam paper. We are going to ask Ms. Frize first to give us a hint to the students about the exam book and what the students are going to see there. Please, Ms. Frize.
Okay, first of all, I'd like to assure my students that inshallah they will answer the examination paper.
Yeah, God willing.
Inshallah. So dear students, hope you feel good and hope you are studying well. Please don't be afraid. Okay?
Yeah.
Feel
Be
relaxed.
calm.
Be calm. Sleep well. Okay? Try not to get confused. Okay? And I hope that you will find the exam will be easy by God will. Okay? And in the we have an exam or the exam book. The exam book is numbered, as I said in the previous sessions. It is numbered, and we have questions and corresponding numbers on the exam book. So try to write the answer corresponding to the question. Okay? And if, as I said previously, if you forgot any question you haven't or you cannot answer or you haven't answered or even whatsoever, try to put a hint or try to write a note that this question or the answer for this question is on page number so and so. Please, I assure you that we correct every single word for the benefit of our student. So we have exam book numbered according or corresponding to the examination paper.
Yeah.
Hope you will do good, my dear student.
The student needs to make sure that the number in the exam book is the answer to the question, the same question in the exam paper. If he made a mistake and skipped a number, he needs to renumber the exam book according to the question because it may be considered to be a mistake. And if he wrote something and deleted it and wanted to write it at the end of the exam book, as Ms. Frize says, to put a hint that the answer is in the page 4, 5, etc. Thank you. And another thing I want to advise the students that usually students try to make sure that they know the answers to all the questions, so they have a look at all the exercises. In this case, this may lead to a chaotic situation and they may forget. So they need to look at the first text and the questions. If they didn't know the answer, they can move to the following one.
One by one.
But not to have a quick look to make sure that they know. So this may lead to something not wanted. So we advise the students to do the questions one by one.
They have enough time.
Yes, they have 2 hours and a half, I think, for the...
Yeah, 2 hours and a half.
2 hours and a half.
For the literary section.
For the literary section, and 2 hours for the scientific.
Yeah.
We're going now to start with the first text.
Yes.
Huda is going to read it first.
Yeah, okay. In the early 19th century, the most important economic activity in Ireland was agriculture. But the farmers were poor and they used old-fashioned methods. But between 8020 and 8040, the economic situation in Ireland deteriorated, and in 1845, the potato famine began. Disease destroyed 75% of the year's potatoes, the main food for most of the population. During the next 2 years, 350,000 people died of starvation. Another story happened in Trista Ducon Lukona, which is a small island in the South Atlantic Ocean. In August 1961, earth tremors started and gradually became more frequent. At the beginning of October, the government decided that the island was no longer safe and the whole population of 268 people was evacuated to a nearby island. A ship picked them up and took them to South Africa. Later, the people were taken to England, where they stayed for the next 2 years. In 1963, the volcanic activity on the island stopped, and most of the people voted to go back. However, not everyone returned. 14 people had adapted to life in England and decided to stay there. 5 elderly people had died, and 10 couples from the island had married.
Thank you. So this was the text. It was about the famine in Ireland because the most important food for the Irish people, which is potato, had a problem.
Yes.
Just a notice, please, Mr.
Yes,
Majid.
please.
Okay. Here, the paragraph is either from the activity book or from the student book.
Yes.
Because
so
we have another paragraph. It is going to be from the supplementary
Thank you
book.
very much. Yes, that's right. The first text usually comes from either the student's book or the activity book. So the text is clear. If the student studied well, he would know the meanings of the words. And the questions, the first 3 questions, depend on the understanding, the comprehension. Ms. Abir, read the first question.
What caused the potato famine in Ireland? And here we have to search for the reason. It is the disease destroyed 75% of potato or year's potatoes.
So from the text, it is clear that
disease
destroyed
we should mention that students should have a look at the questions before reading the text.
Thank you so much. Yes.
That will help them just to have a general idea about the text itself.
It is a good idea for the students before they start reading the text to have a look at the questions about the text.
Yes.
So that while reading, to know what they are looking for.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, thank you. Second, Ms. Sana, second question.
How were the people of Tristan da Cunha evacuated?
How were the people of Tristan da Cunha evacuated?
Yes, the
answer. It is again mentioned, the answer.
A ship picked them up and took them to South Africa.
So a ship picked them and took them to South Africa. Ms. Faizi, number 3.
Now mention 2 things that happened to the people of the island in England.
So the answer is 2 things.
2 things.
2 things.
If the student writes the whole answer, it is okay. If he writes only 2 things, it is okay.
Yes.
Now we have the answer is 14 people had adapted to life in England and decided to stay there. 5 elderly people had died, and 10 couples from the island had married.
So you mentioned 3.
Okay, I mentioned 3.
It's okay.
It is okay.
2 are required.
But 2, if the student only mentioned 2, it is accepted and he will take full mark.
Yeah, of course.
Marks allotted for this exercise are 21 marks. The second question is about vocabs.
Yes.
Ms. Huda, read number 4.
Find words.
Find words.
Yes. Find words in the text which mean the following. Number
How many
4,
marks?
21 marks.
21 marks. We have 3 words, 7
for
marks each.
Yes.
In the scientific, we had 2. Here in the literary, we have 3 words.
Yes.
Read number 4.
And there are none. There aren't any underlined words.
Yes,
in
the first text
so
we
they
don't
have
have
just to
underlined.
look the right meaning. Number 4, practice of farming the land.
Practice of farming the land.
Yes, which is agriculture.
Agriculture.
Yes.
Thank you. Miss Abir, number 5.
Happening very often or opposite the rare. Here we have frequently.
Frequent.
Yeah.
So something happening very
Frequent.
often or opposite of rare.
Yeah.
Frequent or frequent. Thank you. Miss Sana.
Number 6 got worse. It means deteriorate.
Deteriorated.
Deteriorated.
Because, and I want to make the students be sure that when the word in the text is in the past,
Yes.
the explanation is in the past.
Yeah.
So got worse is past and deteriorated is
in
in
the
the
past.
past.
Yes.
Miss Faizi, the following rubric.
Rewrite the sentences about the text to correct the information. So the student here is going to correct the information.
We have wrong
information, and he is going to correct this.
Yes.
Just like number 7, over 500,000 people died as a result of the potato famine.
Yes, so the sentence says over 500,000 people
Here
died.
we have two, we can correct in two ways. We can say less than.
So it's not over, it's less.
Less than 500,000 or 500,000 of people, or we can say 350,000 people.
We can mention the number.
We can mention the number here in the text. Okay.
Number 8, please, Mr. Mahmoud, if you pull it up. Yes, thank you. It's enough. It's okay. Miss Abir.
Yeah. The people of Tristan da Cunha went home even though there was still volcanic activity. No, the answer is they went home when the volcanic activity stopped.
So is it enough just to write the correction? Or the student needs to write the full answer?
The full answer is required.
Because if he doesn't write the full answer, Mr. Mahmoud, it's enough. It's okay.
No.
If he doesn't write the full answer, his mark will not be full. Some marks will be deducted.
Yeah.
Like this. No, this is the end, Mr. Mahmoud. This is the end. You can go down to the second text. From the beginning.
From the beginning of the text.
Yes. Yeah, thank you. Now, Miss Sana is going to read the second text, and both texts in this page are for comprehension. If the student understands the meaning of the words, he will be able to answer all the questions. Start, please.
Yes. Read the following text, then do the tasks below. Robert Brooke was born in England in 1887 to academic family. He was a good student, well known for his intelligence, sporting talents, and popularity.
So he was well known for
his intelligence, sporting talents, and popularity.
3 things. Thank you.
He won a scholarship to study at the University of Cambridge, where he studied alongside Virginia Woolf.
So he was with Virginia Woolf.
Virginia Woolf is a writer.
Yes.
He later became friends with writers such as E.M. Forster and politicians such as Winston Churchill.
Winston Churchill was the Prime Minister of England at that time.
Politician, yes. When Brooke wrote song in 1912, he was troubled by the end of a long relationship with Catherine Laird Cox. He expressed his pain in relation to the changing seasons in the English countryside. When World War I started in 1914, Brooke began writing poetry in praise of England and in support of its soldiers. This poetry was idealistic, as if he were defending his way of life through his writing. His war poetry, written from 1914 onwards, is more upbeat than that of other poets writing at the same time, such as Siegfried Sassoon and Wilfred Owen. Brooke died in 1915, while other poets lived on to write about the war until its end in 1918.
So he died before the end of the war.
Yes.
Thank you. The text is clear. If the student knows the meaning, it's very clear. This time he is not going to have questions. This time the student is going to have 3 choices to choose. Multiple choice question.
Yes.
And this text is from the literary supplementary book.
Okay.
It is from the literary supplementary book. Miss Huda,
yes,
please
number 9.
write number 9. First, read the rubric.
Yes.
Choose.
Choose the correct answer, A, B, or C.
How many marks?
It's allotted 14 marks.
14 marks.
Yes.
So it is 7 marks each.
True. Number 9. When Brooke wrote song in 1912, he, with Catherine, A, enjoyed a good relation. B was satisfied, C had problems. If we go back to the text, we'll find that he had problems
Yes,
with
he
Catherine.
had problems.
So the right choice is C.
C had problems. So the student can either write C on the exam book
or had
problems or both. Miss Abir?
The reason for Brooks' idealistic poetry was to his way of life. Support, change, or criticize. No support.
So the reason for Brooks' idealistic poetry was to support
his way of life.
And this is clear from the text as well.
Exactly.
Miss Faize, the following question.
Now we are going to match two of the underlined words. Here we have underlined words, not that as the previous text.
It's easy.
We have three underlined words in the text. The student is going to choose two. Yes, please.
Match two of the underlined words from the text in the to the definition or meanings below. This is for 14 marks are allotted. Okay?
7 marks
each one is allotted 7 marks. Number 11, show or tell thoughts or emotions. Here we have three underlined words. Maybe it is academic, maybe it is expressed, maybe it is upbeat. So we are going to decide. Show or tell thoughts or emotions. Tell means to express.
Yes.
So it is expressed.
Expressed.
Yeah.
The first word is
expressed.
Miss Sana, the number
12. Relating to education, especially at a higher level.
So education at a higher level.
Yes, it's academic.
Academic.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you so much. So just the students need to write the words, and if he writes two words in the same space, we're going to consider the first. It is not advisable. So he must write only one word, and the student mustn't write the same word twice, or else he will take 0. So one word in every space next to the number in the exam book. The following one, Miss Huda.
Yes. Complete the following sentences with information from the text now.
So here we don't have wrong sentences.
No, we have just to complete.
Some information. We need to complete them from the text.
Exactly. Number 13. When Brooke was a student, he was famous for. Really, we have 3 characteristics.
And we stopped at them.
Yes.
We stopped at
Intelligence, sporting talent, and popularity.
Yes. So the students finds them in the text. He was well known for intelligence, sporting talent, and
popularity.
Thank you. Miss Abir, number 14.
After the death of Brooke, many other poets who lived on continued writing about the war. You can add until its end in 1918.
Yes.
So they wrote about the war.
So the other poets who lived continued writing about the war until the end of it. Thank you so much. Now we're going to go to the second exam page. This is another side of the exam paper, which is going to start with the missing words. And usually the missing words come, not necessarily, usually they come from the students or activity book, and the words missing are functional. We mean by functional that they are either auxiliaries or prepositions or pronouns, auxiliaries, prepositions, pronouns, articles. So the student can find the exact word through the context. Miss Faizi is going to start.
Okay. Now complete the following paragraph by filling in the gaps. It is allotted 28 marks. So each one is going to have how many marks? 28 divided by 4 is 7. Okay?
7, yes.
So we usually think that greenhouse gases are harmful. But without these gases, climate of the earth. So it is definite. We know it, okay? So the climate of the earth.
So let's, Miss Faizi, here, before we move, since we use let's talk about the use of the.
Okay.
How can the student know that he needs to use the?
If it is, we are talking about something is none.
Yes, so both the listener and the speaker need to know about the subject.
Okay.
And this can happen when there is only one thing in the world, or in the country, or in the place. So it is clear. Or something mentioned
for the second time.
for the second time. When we mention something and for the second time, it becomes clear. Or we add a sentence like here, climate of the earth. So it's not any climate, it's climate of the earth. So the expression of the earth makes the listener know what climate we are talking about. So it is definite, it is clear. We use that. What else do we use with that? Musical instruments. After the verb play. So I summarize. First, when we have nouns of which there is only one in the universe or in the country or in the place, when an indefinite noun is mentioned, a second noun, it has become clear. Or when we add some information to a noun to make it clear, or with the musical instruments after the verb play. We have other uses, but these are the main
Such
uses.
as play the guitar.
Play the guitar. Here, the expression of the earth made the listener know what climate we are talking about. So, the climate of the earth would. Now, Miss Abir is going to continue.
Now, the climate of the earth would too cold, and usually we use afterward or auxiliary be here.
Yes.
Would be too cold.
Afterward, we have auxiliary. So here, from the meaning, that the climate of the earth would too cold. Too cold is an adjective.
An adjective,
so
and yes.
Adjectives usually are preceded with verb to be. So it is be. And be, because would here takes infinitive, so it is would be too cold. Miss Sana?
Greenhouse gases, which include carbon dioxide and
methane. So let's stop a little here. Gases, include carbon dioxide and methane, another comma. We can understand this clause is modifying the gases, so it is called relative clause to modify gases. So here we need to use a relative pronoun.
Which or that.
Either which or that, or who or where, according to the object. The object here is a thing. So we use which or that. So this is why we
with
say.
With people we use who.
With the people we use who. With the place we use where. With time we use when. And for possession we use whose. Here gases, the thing, we said which. If the student writes that, it's okay. Include carbon dioxide and methane. Miss Faizi, we move to you.
Keep the heat, the sun, in and prevent the planet from freezing. The heat, where does the heat come from? It comes from the sun. So keep the heat from or of the sun.
Yeah, both are accepted.
Okay.
Usually here we have heat is a noun and the sun is another noun, so we need to think about what goes between nouns. It may be a conjunction like and or, but if we put it heat and the sun, it's not logical. So we need something logical, and since we have heat and the sun, and usually we receive heat from the sun, if we say the heat of the sun is accepted, heat from the sun is also accepted as well. Ms. Huda, before we continue, did you receive a question on the phone?
Really, about the 9th grade, I don't know the question about the tourism in Syria.
Yes, the same question.
Yes.
They asked
so
me,
asked me if it's okay or not.
It is weird. Usually when we have a session for the 9th grade, we don't receive the questions. And now, but this session is dedicated for the baccalaureate students. Sorry. Yeah, but I think you gave them the answer on the phone. But if it was about the baccalaureate level, we would answer it here together. Now let's move to the following one. We were filling in the spaces, the heat of the sun.
With words
we finished it that prevent planet from freezing. Is filling, Ms. Huda, the following question?
Yes.
Number 4, fill in.
Fill in the spaces with words from the list. Use each word only once. Once only.
This part is usually taken from the supplementary. But we have words, a list of words, but we have an extra one. The students are going to use only 5 or 6 words to fill in the spaces. I think if they know the meaning, it will be clear which word to use. Please start, number 19.
Yes, I'm going just to read the words.
Yeah.
Series, please, impressive, wonders, homeland, historians. Number 19, the Hanging Gardens of Babylon are considered one of the original seven of the world. Seven wonders of the world.
Yeah, because when we say seven of the world, what do we
Yes.
have seven in the world?
We
What's
have
the
seven
one?
Wonders of the world.
Seven skies in the world.
Yes.
No, it's seven, because skies is not written. It would be accepted.
Yeah.
Because,
Yes.
Yes.
but
Of course.
since we can, for the students now, he can choose, he can try all the words. If he doesn't know the answer, he can say seven choose, seven
Yeah.
series,
Yes.
or seven please, seven impressive,
The suitable
seven
one.
wonders, seven homeland. Homeland is not
historians.
accepted
Yeah.
because it's
Seven
singular.
historians.
Seven
Yeah.
historians, not logical.
Not logical.
So the only logical word here is
Wonders.
Wonders.
Miss Abir,
Yeah. Nebuchadnezzar II, or the second,
Second.
built them to his wife. So here we have to, and then we have to put a verb here in infinitive. So to please his wife.
so how many infinitives do we have in the list?
Only one. Only one.
Only please. So it's
Please.
the only accepted word
Yeah.
here. If we had two, we can try them.
According to the meaning.
Yeah, according to the
Yeah.
meaning, the student needs to make sure that the meaning here suits the sentence.
Yeah.
Miss Faize, number 21.
So he built them to please his wife,
Yes.
who longed for beautiful plants of her homeland. She
Yeah.
was longing for her homeland, maybe.
Again, here the only word accepted because, of course, it's not for her historians and it's not for her series. So it is
For
longing. Longing
longing,
means I want something very much.
Yeah.
Miss.
I miss something, yes. So it is the homeland. She who longed for beautiful plants of her land. Miss Sana,
Number 22. The gardens are an space example of irrigation.
so let's facilitate here
Yes,
for the
yeah.
student. What
First
do we
of all,
have?
Yes, we have an.
An,
Okay, preceded by a space. Then we have a noun.
a noun. And usually an goes
Yeah.
with a noun. So in the space we need to put something. What do you
Yes.
usually put
An
between
adjective.
an?
Yes, an
An
adjective
adjective.
is very suitable here.
Yeah.
Yes.
What are the adjectives in the
Impressive.
impressive?
Yes.
And an goes with vowels.
With vowels, yes,
So
I'll tell you.
it's,
Yes.
right.
I vowel, it's suit an.
So it's
Yeah.
an impressive example of
Of irrigation.
irrigation. Thank you. Miss Huda, number
Yes,
23.
23. Diodorus wrote of 40 books to describe these gardens. Really, we have only a series
And historians.
and historians.
The logical one.
The logical one is series.
So he
Diodorus
wrote
wrote
a series of 40
books
books.
to
Of course,
describe.
not a historians.
Yeah.
Yes.
A historians doesn't take up, actually.
Yeah.
So the only word now accepted is a series
Series.
of 40 books to
To
describe.
describe these gardens.
Thank you. Miss Faize, let's move to question number 5, B, complete.
Okay, here
We
we
have
are
a dialogue.
dialogue, and the students are going to complete the following dialogue by writing suitable questions or answers.
And for the literary section, we have 40 marks allotted,
Yeah.
10
And
marks.
I'd like to draw the student attention. He is going to write at least 3 words,
Yes,
okay,
of course.
for each question.
So one word is not enough.
Of course.
At least 3 words, at least for each question. If the student writes more than 3,
It is okay.
it's okay.
Okay.
But
Mr.
at
Rashid,
least,
It is at least.
at
Okay.
least 10.
I just want to advise the students to read the dialogue as a whole.
Yes.
Yes, before they writing the
Because the question
I will
depends
assure them
on a
that
dialogue.
the answer will come out itself.
Because
before they
sometimes
think.
many questions may be suitable for the first answer.
Yes.
But what about the following dialogue?
Yeah.
So the
So-
questions are going to be, thank you, Ms. Sana, according to the dialogue.
Yeah, okay,
Ms. Faiza, please
Okay,
continue.
now here we have a dialogue between Hani and Layla.
Mhm.
And Hani is going to ask Layla about, we do not know. Layla answered, sport is the best form of exercise.
Sport is the best form of exercise.
And
So-
here we can ask about what.
Usually, Ms. Faiza, we change it at the beginning to yes/no question. Then we look for the something we are going to ask. Then we replace it with
Yeah,
a question.
yeah.
Let's do this with the
Okay.
student.
Now,
and this is not for the strong student, this is for the medium level student.
okay.
Helps
Now here we have the auxiliary or the verb, helping verb is.
Yes.
We are going to invert is and sport. So it becomes, is sport the best form of exercise?
Yes.
Okay. And we are going now to use WH question.
Yes.
With word, and we're asking about sport. So it is a thing. We say, what is sport? This is question number 1. And we can have another question. What is the best form of exercise?
Now, here, if we change to the yes/no question, sport is the best form of exercise. Becomes, is sport the best form of exercise? The question is about sport. So we drop sport, and we put what is the best form of exercise. This is the best answer. Other facilities are what is sport?
What is sport?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
But to keep on the safe side for the students, choose what is in the answer. Is sport the best form of exercise? Drop sport and use a word suitable to it, which is according. What is the best form of exercise?
Yeah.
The second, Miss Abir.
I exercise 2 hours a day. Here we don't have an auxiliary verb. So we have to add one.
Is it simple or past?
It's present simple.
Present simple.
Yeah, and we have to add an auxiliary. It should be do or does.
Since and here we have frequently mentioned action.
Yeah.
2 hours
2 hours a day.
So what do we use to ask about this?
Maybe how
frequency.
often, how long, or how many hours, since we have here the number of hours.
Since we have 2 hours a day, let's start with how often. But first, change it to yes/no question.
Yes/no question. So we should start with do and change I into you.
Yes.
Do you exercise 2 hours a day? So 2 hours a day we are going to omit them. So how often do you exercise, or how long do you often? How many hours do you often exercise? How much time
do you exercise? All these are accepted, but to keep on the safe side for the students, we advise the student to give a question according to the sentence. I exercise 2 hours a day. First, do you exercise 2 hours a day? Then delete 2 hours a day and put how often, because 2 hours is frequency. And for frequency, we use how often. How often do you exercise? Thank you. The answer number 26, Miss Sana.
Yes. Now, Layla says, I usually practice sport in the gym.
Again, it is simple present.
No, this is simple present. Okay. Now, the question word is where. Because we are asking about the place, which is the gym.
Let's Miss Sana, move step by step. Okay. First, change it to a yes/no question so that it becomes very clear for the student. Then we delete the thing we are going to ask about, and we put at the beginning a question word suitable to
yes/no question. Do you usually practice sports in the gym?
Do you usually practice sport
in the gym?
This
is yes/no question. Yes.
And we are going to ask about in the gym.
Yes, the gym is the place. So we should use where. Because
so
where
we
is
delete
about
in the gym.
Place. Yes.
And we put where at the beginning, and it becomes.
And we continue with do you practice?
Where do you usually
practice?
Practice. Where do you usually practice sports? We just delete in the gym. Where do you usually practice sport?
Because it's the answer.
Yes. Thank you so much. Now, the final exercise in the dialogue is not a question, it's an answer.
Yes.
Here, any answer is accepted, but as Ms. Faiza said, at least 3 words. 1 word is not enough. The student needs to write a subject and a verb in the answer. A subject and a verb, at least 3 words. So what else can we do to stay healthy? A lot of answers, but we need to have a subject and a verb and something. At least 3 words. We move to exercise number 6. Ms. Huda is going to read the rubric, rewrite.
Rewrite the following sentences as required in brackets.
Actually, this is what we explained at the beginning of our seminar or webinar, we explained about number 28, 29, 30, and 31 grammar. So the passive voice here was at the beginning, but we explained it at the end so that we match between them. Ms. Faizi, please tell us about number 28.
Okay. People recycle materials to protect the environment. We are going to change this into passive.
First, tell us as students which is the subject, which is the object, and the verb.
Okay. Here we have people is the subject.
People is the subject.
This recycle is the verb, and it is in the present. Okay. And materials is the object, and it is plural.
Yes.
So we are going to begin with materials. Okay. Materials. We are going after materials. We are going to use verb to be. Is it is or are? Was or were? Because it is the sentence in the present, we are going to use is or are. Since it is materials is plural, so we are going to use are. So materials are, we move back to recycle and put it in the verb 3, it is recycled. So materials are recycled to protect the environment. And we can put at the end of the sentence by people or we. It is optional
because people is not definite. When the subject, as we said at the beginning of the webinar, when it is definite, we can put it or we put it. Sometimes we must put it at the end when it is clear and definite, preceded with the word by. Miss Sana, move to the passive voice.
Yes. Number 29. You drive too fast. Now,
before we move to number 29, I just want to clarify question number 28. As Ms. Faiza said, we have people, the subject, recycle the verb, and materials, the object. To protect the environment is just an addition to show why are materials recycled. So to protect the environment is not the object. Students need to make sure which one is the object to put at the beginning because it's not okay to put to protect the environment material it's in random way. So we need to know which one is the object exactly to put at the beginning, the verb in the verb 3 form, then between them verb to be. Thank you. Miss Sana.
Yes, again. Number 29, you drive too fast. Here in this sentence, they command the usage of I wish. Okay, here in this sentence, the speaker expresses a state of criticism.
Yes.
Okay, so we should use would in this sentence. So we can say, I wish you wouldn't drive so fast or too fast, the same.
Okay, actually, you are very right. If you want to show criticism, you use I wish you wouldn't drive. And we say that when it is positive, we use negative in the wish, as we said earlier, or something opposite reality. But also if the student wrote, I wish you drove, or you didn't, you didn't drive too fast, it is very correct. And if he wants to show criticism, he says, I wish you wouldn't drive, it's accepted as well.
Drove slowly.
So slowly. I wish you drove so slowly. Contrary reality. You are absolutely right. So we have three choices. Either I wish you wouldn't drive too or so fast. I wish you didn't drive too fast or so fast. Or I wish you drove more slowly. But the aim is to go 1 tenth back because it is unreal past and to say something opposite reality. Miss Faizi, number 30.
Number 30 here we have reported questions. Okay.
It is important as well, reported speech and reported questions. We talked about them earlier.
Can I borrow your car? Here it is yes, no question. And with yes, no question, we are going to add if or whether. Okay. And we are going to go back tense. Okay.
And now here it is clear. The two people talking to each other are Samir and his father.
And his father.
So we are going to change the pronoun according to Samir and His father.
Yeah.
Please.
Samer asked his father if. Okay. He.
So I became he.
Because we are talking about
Which
Samer.
refers to Samer.
Okay. If he could. Okay.
Could
borrow your car, his car,
his
because
car.
we are talking about his father.
His
so
father.
It becomes just like this. Samer asked his father if he could borrow his car.
If or whether.
Or whether.
Okay.
Yes. It is, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Miss Abir.
Now, Hani couldn't fix his own computer himself. Here we have to use the causative verb have.
And exactly have, not get or
Not
let
get,
or
yes.
allow or any other
The required verb
only
is
have.
verb have. So Hani couldn't is in the negative. So we have to say Hani had his computer fixed in verb 3. Put it fixed in verb 3. Had his computer fixed or had to have it fixed.
Yeah, we have two cases.
Yeah.
But in the end, since it's negative, we need to put the positive verb
in
the
positive.
positive. What if the sentence was in the positive, not negative?
We put it in negative.
We say didn't have.
Didn't
have, and we continue. Yes. So we explained again about this at the beginning. If the students are not able now to understand, they can re-watch because it will be on YouTube. It's clear that it is NCCD SEP. They can re-watch the beginning to understand about passive voice and wish, reported speech, and causative verb.
Just one example, Mr. Majid, about
please.
the causative.
Please.
And
I want Ms. Fez to clarify this.
In the simple present, for example, he repairs.
Yes, maybe in the simple present.
Himself, he repairs her room herself. It is in the past, and she didn't have her room cleaned.
Thank you so much. So we want to assure the student that not only the causative comes in the exam in the negative, and the students need to write the negative, the positive of have. He may receive it positive, and he needs to choose the negative of have. Yes, thank you. Miss Huda, let's move to the number 7, question number 7, VII.
Yes. Complete the following sentences using clauses.
Here we need clauses. Subject and a verb so that the meaning is complete.
Yes. 32. I did my homework too quickly. So
I did my homework too quickly. What do we use to?
For negative
meaning.
Yes. I was too fast writing
so shows a result.
Yes. So I made many mistakes or few mistakes.
Maybe.
So here the completion should be in the past.
Yeah.
Since the sentence is in the past,
Yes.
some may say sometimes it is accepted. I did my homework too quickly, so I'm going to be punished. Logically, it's okay, but for the students, we advise them
on the safe side,
to keep on the safe side and say when it is in the simple past to choose the simple completion. So I did my homework too quickly, so
I made few mistakes.
I made some mistakes, so the teacher didn't
to
like
give a result.
Yeah, we need to have a result.
The teacher couldn't write.
Couldn't
read
my
it.
writing.
Yeah.
My writing. Yeah.
Yes. Miss Sana, number 33.
Number 33.
So I was punished.
So I was punished.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's okay. In the past, thank you. Miss Sana, here we have conditional sentence.
Yes, number 33. If you misuse the equipment, here this is the first conditional sentences. In the first part, which is the if clause, we have simple present, the verb misuse. Now, in the second part, we should use will plus
infinitive.
Verb. Yes, plus infinitive. You will get injured. This is the answer.
You will get injured. Good. Actually, I just want to give options or choices. Not always only will is accepted. In this case, we can say if you misuse, you will break. You break in the simple present, which is something happening always.
This is
zero
zero
conditional.
form.
But to keep on the safe side for the students,
It's
when
better
they
to
see
use
if with the present simple complete with will. it will be accepted.
But if they omit, well, they will get the mark.
Yes, of course. But here, if you misuse the equipment, you will get injured.
Yeah.
So using will is good. The continuity is up to the student himself. Ms. Abir?
Yeah. Now here we have the question, choose the correct words in brackets. And
here, two choices,
the student is
are going
required,
to choose one of them.
and the marks are 28 here. People should read the newspapers too. Keep up with or come up against the latest news.
Here is comprehension.
Comprehension,
question.
and this is according to the meaning. The student should choose keep up with.
Keep up with, to go with, because come up against
Latest
means,
news. Yeah.
Another meaning. So to keep up with, to go with the latest news.
Yeah.
Exactly. The first question, the first expression is chosen. Thank you. Miss Huda, number 35.
Yes. I will never forget the exciting or excitement that I felt on my summer holiday. Exciting is an adjective. Excitement is noun here. I will never forget the excitement, of course, because it makes sense.
After the
Because we don't have
we
a
don't
noun.
have a noun after brackets.
Another noun, so we need to choose the noun after that.
Yes.
But if we had another noun like film,
Exactly. The
film,
exciting
it
film
will be exciting film.
Yes.
But since here we don't have another noun, so the student needs to choose the noun between the two choices, which is excitement. Not the longer one, of course, as some teachers tell the student choose the longer one. No, we choose the noun when we don't have another noun. We choose an adjective when there is a noun to modify. Here we don't have another noun, so it is excitement. Miss Faize?
I have made or done my decision very carefully.
Here to talk about do and make.
Yeah, decisions, it is making decisions, not doing decisions. Verb that goes with, some nouns, okay?
Everything that comes from the mind, it is made. Make a decision, make a choice, make your mind, so make a suggestion. Mm-hmm. Everything that comes from the mind, it is make. But when it is just kind of movement, it is do. Movement, do, but something from the mind. And if you make something from something else, it is make. Do is only with some exercise or some movement. Or verbs that end with ing. Do shopping, do cycling, except we have do aerobics.
Mr. Majid, do you think that students should memorize the verbs do and make?
No. But sometimes, while they are reading, many times, it makes this be clear for them.
Yes, it comes from the context.
Yeah, from the context. It pops up to them. But we can facilitate it by telling when it is from the mind, use make. When it is about movement, use do. And if it is changing something from something else, it is make. You make something from something else. But do is to do some action, some movement. It is clear. You are not making something out of something else. And again, it's not from the mind. Everything from the mind, it is make. So if they don't know it already, they can judge. Is it from the mind? For example, they have choice. Make a choice, because the choice is done by the mind, the suggestion from the mind. Yes. Miss Sana?
Number 37, streets in big cities are noisy, whereas or so that streets in villages are quiet. Here we have a state of contrast between the streets in cities and the streets in the villages. So we use whereas.
So whereas shows contrast, but so that gives a result.
Yes.
And here it is contrasting. The exact word is whereas, like but. Yes. Miss Abir, we come back to you.
Now here we have to correct the verbs in brackets.
Here we come to tenses.
Tenses now.
This question is about tenses, 20 marks.
Students should read the whole sentence, and there will be something, tell them that what to do. Here we have hurry up, our plane take off in a few minutes. So something will happen in a few minutes, in the future or near future. We can here say our plane is taking off, our plane is going to take off or will take off.
What if a student wrote takes off?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's accepted because we know that when we have timetable, schedule, so
and
we
regularly.
use the present simple. So the choices here are our plane takes off in a few minutes, or will take off in a few minutes, or is taking off in a few minutes, or is going to take off in a few minutes.
Yes.
Yes. Miss Huda,
Yes.
number 39.
39. Tariq played tennis when he sprained his ankle.
What do you have here?
Really, we have two actions.
Two
here.
actions.
One was happening, and another one interrupted it. So it's obvious the answer must be in the past continuous.
When we have interruption in the past, we put the first.
Was or were plus verb ing.
Yes.
Tariq, it means he. So was playing tennis when he sprained his ankle.
So the first action that was happening was playing tennis.
Was playing tennis.
And spraining the ankle happened later. We put it in the simple past.
Yes.
And what was happening first in the past continuous?
That he was playing.
Just a note about 39.
Yeah.
What if we said Tariq played tennis and instead of when? He sprained his ankle.
When we say and, we don't have interruption here.
Yeah, so
we
we
have
are going
succession.
to use the same tense.
So we use
Tariq played tennis and he sprained his ankle.
And we mentioned this in another webinar that when we have succession, actions one after the other in the past, we put them all in the simple past. Thank you, Ms. Faizi.
I just want to advise students just to watch the two webinars, this one and the previous one, because there are other hints, important hints that will help them just
of course. And they are available on YouTube, as we mentioned before, the same address, NCCD SEP. Miss Faizi?
Now, my brother worked in the same factory since he graduated.
The hint here is?
Here, the hint is since.
Since.
Since is related to present perfect.
Yes.
Either simple or present perfect continuous. So we can say, my brother has worked in the same factory since he graduated, or he has been working.
Yes, because both the present perfect and the present perfect continuous have the same meaning with since.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Miss Sana?
Number 41. Ahmad go to the airport to meet his uncle by the time we arrived. Here, the hint is by the time. This is adverb which express present perfect as in
Past
general.
perfect. Yes.
Yes, as in general.
Yes.
But after by the time, the second part, we have we arrived. This is in the simple past. So we have to put past perfect in the first part. So we can say Ahmad had gone to the airport to meet his uncle by the time we arrived.
Yes, when we have by the time usually, or by 1996, when we have by plus time, we use the past perfect before it. Yes, Ahmad had gone to the airport to meet his uncle by the time we arrived. Exactly, and we mentioned in other webinar about difference between had gone and had been.
Yeah.
When he returned, we use been. When he is still there, we use gone. We come to something for the students a bit difficult, and for the coming students in the future, they are not going to see this exercise.
Inshallah.
Because we are not going to have translation question in the future, so that no one uses Arabic language in an English class saying that we have translation, because some of our teachers try to use Arabic in the classroom, justifying it by the saying we have translation.
Yes.
But since this year students are going to have translation, we are going to help them. We are going to facilitate it to make it easy for them how to answer. Miss Huda, just read the sentence.
Okay. The purpose of life is not something that is given to us. It's something we must make ourselves.
How many parts do we have?
2 parts.
So the student is going to be judged according to 2 parts. And every part is going to be judged separately.
5 marks for each.
Yes.
Yes.
So the first word is
The purpose of life is not something that's given to us. This is the first part.
how many meanings do we have for purpose in Arabic?
هدف غرض غاية الحياة
Mhm.
is not something that's given to us. غاية الحياة ليست شيئا يعطى لنا. This is the translation of the first part. It is something we must make ourselves. إنه شيء يجب أن نحققه أو نصنعه بأنفسنا.
Thank you so much. So, will you please repeat the first translation, which is the best one?
Yes. غرض الحياة أو الغاية من الحياة ليس شيئا يعطى لنا. إنه شيء أو أمر يجب أن نحققه أو نصنعه بأنفسنا.
Thank you. So, what are the choices for the students if the student writes another translation? Do you have another translation to this?
غرض
For
أو
purpose?
هدف. For purpose. الغرض من الحياة، الهدف من هذه الحياة. That's it.
Make.
Yes.
How many ways can we translate make?
يصنع، يحقق، ننجزه. There are many vocabularies that he can use.
So this depends on two things: grammar and vocabulary.
Yes.
And given can be translated يعطى يمنح. Given.
Yes.
Yes.
Something شيء أمر ما.
Yeah.
Yes.
Good. Here the student needs to make sure that the grammar is correct.
Yes.
And the spelling is correct and the meaning is
Arabic,
correct.
yeah.
If the student doesn't know a meaning of a word and he put it wrongly, he is going to be judged only about the word.
Yeah.
He is not going to take 0. He will take marks, but some marks will be deducted for the wrongly translated or missing
if the
words.
sentence makes sense.
Yes, sometimes the student writes only 1 or 2 words. If it gives sense, he will take marks.
Yeah.
But if the sentence doesn't give any sense, of course it's 0. But if there is sense, he will take marks. He will not be judged as 0. Thank you. We move to the second part of translation, which is from Arabic. We didn't hint about something, that the first translation, English into Arabic, usually comes from the supplementary book, scientific or literary. And this is from the literary supplementary book. But the Arabic into English translation comes usually from the students or the activity. Miss Sana, read it please.
إن علاقتك الجيدة بزملائك في العمل تجعلك أكثر سعادة ونجاحا. Now the translation is, okay, having a good relation with your colleagues at work makes you happy and more successful.
Thank you. Would you repeat it? Will you repeat it again more slowly so that the students follow you? Yes, the translation.
Yes. Having a good relation with your colleagues at work makes you happy and more successful.
Or happier.
Happier.
Now let's talk about the equivalents.
Yes.
Happier.
Happier.
And what else do we have to provide the students with?
More excited. Can we say more excited?
More excited.
Yeah.
Happier, more excited.
You can work, you can say job.
Yeah, instead of work, in your job.
In your job.
Instead of having relations, you can say having a good relationship.
Yeah. Yes. Instead of relationship.
Instead of colleagues, you can say workmate.
Workmate.
Having good connections with colleagues.
Having good connection. Being good.
Being good. Yes.
So here, the student, the safe side is to be exact to what is given. But if the student is smart enough to give a logical sentence that gives the meaning, he will take full marks.
The full marks.
But to keep on the safe side, we advise the student to heed to what is in the question.
Yeah.
Now, we reached the writing question, and I think we can take a break now so that we get refreshed and we explain about writing after the break. Can we take a break, Mr. Hayyan?
Break?
Can we take a break?